Elizabeth Tilly fixes the intruder with an icy stare, demanding to know exactly who dared hammer on her door and storm into their quarters at such an ungodly hour. Her expression remains completely unforgiving as she stands there, making it painfully obvious that she has absolutely no patience for anyone disturbing her rest. Frightened that his life is about to end, Lin Tian clasps his hands together and desperately begs for forgiveness, explaining that all he wanted was an opportunity to become a member of the renowned Dragon Slayer Guild. His voice trembles with fear as he hurriedly tries to explain himself, hoping that his ambition might somehow save him from the terrifying woman standing before him. She looms over him menacingly and moves her face close to his, questioning the purpose of his eyes when they apparently cannot recognize whom he has provoked, while the terrified boy hurriedly insists that he was merely stunned by her famous reputation. He tries to maintain his composure, but the fear in his eyes gives away just how badly intimidated he has become. He barely gets the words out before a powerful boot crashes into him, striking with enough force to send him reeling. The sudden impact leaves him completely stunned, and for a moment he can only struggle to regain his balance after the overwhelming blow. With her leg still stretched out and firmly holding him down, she remarks with complete composure that compliments may sound pleasant, but trespassing into another person's territory without permission comes with a considerable cost. Her calm tone somehow makes the threat even more frightening, because she speaks as though punishing him is nothing more than an ordinary inconvenience. Her piercing eyes become even colder as she warns him that entering their quarters without being invited deserves a punishment severe enough to remain burned into his memory. She makes certain that every word reaches him clearly, leaving no possibility that he can misunderstand the seriousness of his mistake. Paralyzed by sheer fear, the recruit cannot utter another word, his entire body shaking beneath the crushing pressure of her intimidating presence. He remains frozen where he is, too frightened even to raise his head and meet her terrifying gaze. She completely ignores him and heads back inside, immediately turning her anger toward the guild members who had abandoned her unconscious in a roadside ditch overnight, instead of having the decency to carry her back to bed. Her irritation quickly shifts away from the frightened recruit as she remembers the humiliating circumstances of the previous night. George is halfway through a drink from his wooden mug when he suddenly stops, instantly recognizing the horrifyingly familiar aura hovering directly above him. The drink remains suspended in his hand as his expression changes, and the color slowly drains from his face when he realizes exactly who has returned. Standing over him with a terrifying expression, the boss reprimands him for behaving recklessly the instant she was out of sight. George desperately pleads for mercy, remembering the shame of being tied up in the middle of the street after his previous drunken rampage, but she calmly decides that his increasing arrogance deserves another severe punishment. He knows from experience that arguing will only make things worse, yet desperation forces him to keep begging anyway. Without showing even the slightest concern, she grabs the enormous vice commander and throws him bodily across the hall, sending him smashing hard onto the pavement outside. The impact echoes through the building, leaving everyone nearby staring in stunned silence at the sheer strength she has displayed without even appearing to strain herself. Watching everything from a safe distance, the recruit breaks into a nervous cold sweat, completely unable to understand the Empire's frightening passion for alcohol or the ridiculous punishments connected to it. He quietly observes the scene while wondering whether joining this guild was truly the brilliant opportunity he had imagined. After emptying yet another mug, the guild leader proudly challenges everyone in the room, declaring that nobody present is capable of defeating her in combat or matching her drinking ability. Her confidence is enormous, and the way she raises her mug makes it seem as though she has never encountered a challenge she could not overcome. The tavern immediately explodes with enthusiastic cheers as one after another, eager warriors step forward, determined to attempt the seemingly hopeless contest. The atmosphere becomes wild in an instant, with tables shaking beneath the excitement and warriors loudly encouraging one another to take their chance. Confused by their astonishing recklessness, the newcomer wonders aloud why anyone would willingly expose themselves to such humiliation, until an experienced warrior explains the reward. Whoever manages to drink more than their boss can become the guild master, demand any favor they desire, or even take her as their wife. The explanation causes Lin Tian to pause, suddenly realizing that the seemingly absurd drinking contest carries far greater rewards than he initially understood. as the real meaning of the wager finally becomes clear. A cunning smile slowly appears across Lin Tian's face. The fear that had dominated his expression earlier begins to disappear, replaced by the unmistakable confidence of someone who has just discovered an opportunity too valuable to ignore. Everywhere around him, the noisy tavern spirals further into madness, with muscular fighters shouting that the newest loser should be stripped completely naked and suspended from the rafters until he dries out. Their laughter grows louder, as they imagine the humiliating fate awaiting anyone foolish enough to challenge their leader. Lin Tian confidently walks into the middle of the room and declares that he wants to challenge the boss immediately, provoking confused murmurs and furious complaints from the surrounding thugs, who demand that this insolent brat be thrown outside. The sudden announcement completely changes the mood, as everyone turns their attention toward the newcomer, who has apparently decided to throw away his common sense. The silver-haired leader looks down at him with a dangerous, almost predatory smile and accepts his challenge, confidently promising to drink him unconscious before choosing an appropriately cruel punishment for him. Her eyes gleam with anticipation, as though she has already decided that the contest will end with Lin Tian suffering an unforgettable defeat. The laughter and shouting suddenly disappear as the whole tavern becomes silent, everyone considering what horrible punishment should be given to the foolish newcomer who had dared challenge their boss. Even the most confident warriors watch with curiosity, eager to see whether Lin Tian will survive the consequences of his outrageous decision. Bending closer, the woman raises Lin Tian's chin with her fingers and studies his remarkably smooth, handsome features, surprised that a warrior could possess such clean and flawless skin. Her curiosity briefly replaces her anger as she examines him more carefully, clearly unable to understand how someone who looks so refined could possess the courage to challenge her. Laughing loudly with the rest of her crew, she jokingly suggests that after Lin Tian loses, they should hand him over to the lonely elderly widow living nearby and let her decide what to do with him. The suggestion immediately sends another wave of laughter through the tavern, while Lin Tian remains remarkably calm despite the ridiculous threats surrounding him. Lin Tian merely gives her a confident smirk and asks what the outcome would be if she were the one who lost. Entertained by his remarkable nerve, the guild leader announces the highest possible stakes. The winner receives the guild master's position, may request one favor of their choosing, or can even claim her as a wife. The declaration instantly silences several people again, because the stakes have suddenly become far more serious than anyone expected. Lin Tian accepts the terms without hesitation and boldly asks whether they intend to determine the winner through a game of fingers or by rolling dice, while the towering brutes surrounding him glare down menacingly. His casual attitude only makes the surrounding warriors more irritated, because he behaves as though victory is already within his grasp. After 4 exhausting hours of continuous drinking, the powerful boss is finally slumped over a gigantic barrel in complete misery, leaving the entire tavern stunned that an unknown newcomer could actually drink their mighty leader beneath the table. The once boisterous crowd has become almost speechless, staring at the unbelievable sight before them as the contest reaches its shocking conclusion. Lin Tian casually spins another empty mug in his hand and encourages her to recover the fiery spirit she displayed earlier, while the drunken boss reluctantly acknowledges that he is considerably more durable than most of the warriors under her command. Despite the exhaustion beginning to show, Lin Tian still appears composed enough to continue provoking her. Realizing that his commander has been pushed beyond her limits, Ashius, the Dragon Slayer Guild's 3rd-ranked warrior, approaches to help her and politely suggests ending the contest for the night, because the tavern has already exhausted its entire stock of alcohol. His concern is obvious, especially after watching the legendary leader remain standing through hours of an increasingly brutal drinking competition. Determined to deny that she has lost, the heavily drunk leader seizes Ashius by the collar and drunkenly commands him to leave immediately and return with an even larger supply of liquor. Even in her drunken state, her pride refuses to accept defeat, and she stubbornly insists that the contest is not finished. She does not even manage to finish issuing the order before all the strength leaves her body, causing her to collapse onto the wooden floor before the startled priest has any chance to catch her. Boss, can you hear me? The entire crew panics and rushes toward their fallen leader, who lies helplessly on the floor after being completely overwhelmed by the brutal drinking competition. Their earlier laughter disappears instantly replaced by frantic voices, as everyone tries to determine whether their seemingly invincible leader is all right. Before anyone can even reach them and provide support, a violent wretch suddenly erupts, spraying a magnificent, blinding rainbow of pure drunken misery straight across the unfortunate subordinate's face. The horrified victim freezes in place as the entire tavern stares in stunned disbelief at the unfortunate result. Completely exhausted and devoid of energy, the defeated warrior collapses onto the velvet sofa, lying there motionless, while suffering through the miserable aftermath of extreme intoxication. There is no trace of the confidence he displayed earlier, as the consequences of the contest finally catch up with him. Slowly returning to consciousness, they groan and grab their pounding head, utterly confused about what has happened. What happened? Didn't we keep drinking? Their blurry memories gradually begin to return, though the lingering effects of the alcohol make it difficult to piece together the events of the night. Boss, that kid actually defeated you, the followers admit nervously as they struggle to support the utterly wasted Lin Tian, who can do nothing except groan drunkenly in their arms. The words are delivered carefully, as though everyone is afraid that reminding their leader about the defeat might provoke another violent outburst. Once the memories begin returning, an impressed and fierce grin appears on the leader's face. Oh, that's right. Kid, you're considerably stronger than I expected. Instead of becoming furious, she seems genuinely impressed by the newcomer, recognizing that defeating her required far more than simple luck. Determined to honor the agreement despite her defeat, the leader declares that anyone capable of beating her in a drinking contest deserves access to the guild's treasured battle archives, then loudly announces their next destination: the museum. Her declaration immediately changes the atmosphere once again, as the guild members prepare to escort the unlikely victor toward one of the guild's most valuable collections. Beneath the peaceful silver light of the moon, the magnificent towers of the enormous estate stand motionless against the darkness, silently waiting for the group to arrive. The contrast between the quiet night outside and the chaotic events unfolding inside the guild could hardly be greater. When they reach the highest floor of the museum, enormous Tier 12 skeleton specimens are displayed everywhere, making it immediately obvious why the Dragon Slayer Guild has earned a reputation that even kingdoms cannot ignore. The enormous remains tower above them like silent monuments, offering a glimpse into the terrifying creatures that the guild's greatest warriors have faced. Standing beside an enormous glowing purple crystal, Georgia proudly boasts that she once ripped the core from a crystal dragon using nothing but her bare hands, though the battle ultimately cost her one of her eyes. Her story carries a mixture of pride and painful memories, and the magnificent crystal beside her seems to preserve the evidence of that legendary confrontation. Leaning drunkenly against Lin Tian with unmistakable pride, she declares that she could destroy the creature with ease if she fought it today, while Lin Tian realizes that this very crystal core is precisely what is required to restore the purple dragon mother. His attention becomes fixed on the glowing object as he quietly recognizes its true importance. Wearing a playful, innocent grin, Lin Tian casually asks whether she might simply hand over the worthless trophy to him as a keepsake. He deliberately keeps his request lighthearted, as though the priceless crystal were nothing more than an ordinary souvenir. Georgia immediately turns toward him with a sharp and intimidating stare, rejecting his request without the slightest hesitation, and making it perfectly clear that the answer is an absolute no. Her expression leaves no room for negotiation, and Lin Tian quickly understands that obtaining the crystal will not be nearly as simple as he had hoped.